The villagers were neither angry nor jealous of Zhao Shang and his mother, because Zhao Shang and his mother were very kind and generous and good hearted. They always helped the needy and the poor. So they would help the villagers with rice and money and oil, and helped in whatever way they could help the villagers, because they knew that it was drought stricken and people had very less food and very less money to buy food. One night, two men broke into their hut, demanding food and money. "We know you have a lot of money in this house." They both rushed inside and grabbed the mother and the son. "Stop! Wait! We'll give you some money!" cried Zhao Shang, and quickly went inside to get his money box. While he poured out some coins, the two men grabbed the money box. "What do we have in here?" And they set and laid hands on the pearl. Zhao Shang quickly grabbed the pearl. "You can have all the money. You can't have this pearl," said Zhao Shang to the two men. They tried to grab it from him and they pushed his mother aside. But meanwhile, Zhao Shang didn't want to let go of the pearl. "Give it to us. Give it, else it's going to be really, really bad," said the two men. However, Zhao Shang quickly put it in his mouth. They shook him. One of them even hit him on his back. Spit it out, you little fellow," cried the men. But, Zhao Shang's mother was pushed in one side and she was afraid for her son and she started crying. And these two men were shaking him up, and in this whole confusion and commotion, he gulped the pearl. As soon as the pearl went inside his belly, an intense heat raged, and it was as if his belly was on fire. He quickly rushed and grabbed the teapot and emptied it. And then he quickly went to the water pot. 10, 20, 30, 40 glasses of water were gulped down, but it didn't help. It was as if, there was a ball of fire inside his belly. He ran out to the bank of the river. The mother and the two men helplessly ran after him. And in no time, Zhao Shang had drunk all the water and the river was all empty. "Stop!" his mother cried. But he could no longer stop. He could not and would not be able to stop, for his belly burnt as fire. And his mother was surprised. "Stop!" she begged him. But the sky turned dark. A fierce wind swept through the banks of the river. It was thunder and lightning, and the roar of the thunder and lightning shook and trembled the earth. The villagers clasped and held each other tightly, while Zhao Shang's mother tried to hold her son. But while she spoke to him, in the meanwhile, she saw that there was a huge change coming over Zhao Shang. He started to grow. First his body and his legs. His neck started to stretch as like a serpent. His body was covered with scales of the fish. His head turned into the shape of a deer with horns. And as he moved, he moved like that of a serpent, And as he opened his mouth, his mother saw the gleaming pearl in his mouth. In front of her eyes, her son had turned into a dragon. Zhao Shang no more had to look for this. The sky darkened and a fierce wind swept across the bank of the river. Thunder and lightning cracked. The roar of thunder struck and trembled the entire earth. The villagers clasped each other tightly, and as Zhao Shang's mother went close to him and begged him to come inside, while she spoke, she saw that a mighty change came over him. First his body and then his legs. His body was covered with the scales of a fish. His head started to stretch as that of a snake. His legs turned into the tail of a serpent, and as he moved, it was like as if a serpent is moving. And his head became that of a dragon. And as he opened his mouth, his mother saw the gleaming pearl inside his mouth. She was struck with, she was disheartened. She saw her own son turned into a dragon in front of her eyes. So Zhao Shang no more had to look for wisps of clouds in the sky, for he raised his mighty head and blew out clouds and clouds into the sky. The sky was filled with clouds, and the clouds burst open, and it poured and it rained heavily. It's over. The drought is over. Zhao Shang has brought us the rain, cried the villagers, and the rain filled up the river and the thirsty earth. So Zhao Shang had brought them rain. As he turned and was, making his way to the river, his mother flung open over him and tried to catch hold of him, but he freed himself. As she again tried to, hold him, but he freed himself and went into the water. And every time his mother cried out, her cries pierced his heart, and he turned to look at her. But as he turned, his body was, getting cut, and till the last remains were left on the banks of the river. And the rain continued to pour, and she continued to cry, and Zhao Shang disappeared and went inside the river. The rain poured and washed away her tears. The people continued to be thankful to Zhao Shang, who brought them rain, as he was the most honored dragon, and they continued to honor his mother. Every day morning, the people would throw, few grains in the river and remembering Zhao Shang. Every evening, his mother sat by the bank of the river, giving all the news to Zhao Shang. She would tell him how the entire countryside was so lush and green, and there were crabs everywhere and fishes, and how the water was, filling the ponds and the rivers and the lakes, and how everything was prospering and flourishing. And she also told him strange story about how the rain fell, strangely over all the fields except on the fields of those two wicked men. Their land was left dry and barren, and the two wicked men had to leave, feeling disgraced and disrespected. Every evening, Zhao Shang's mother continued to give him all the news. Once in a while, he would take the form of a, dragonfly and come and sit by her shoulder. Or sometimes she could even see his image in the water, and she knew that these were glimpses of her son, and that made her very, very happy. She even heard the rippling sound of the water, and it was as if, the coins were, clinging, and she recalled how her son would sing. Today is not the same day as yesterday, she recalled. As long as she lived, she saw every spring that the dragon would breathe lots and lots of clouds in the sky and bring lots of rain and lots of prosperity. It is said that even today in China, the river Men still flows across the province of Sichuan. And if you stop by the river and see the sunlight dancing on the waters, and you could see the bank of the river is still carved by the dragon's tail. And it is said that whenever there is the rippling of the water, people still remember Zhao Shang, and they say that it's his song and he sings, and he tells people that today is not going to be the same as yesterday.